and in Afghanistan. I welcome you on behalf of our Institute, all our members and guests, and I would like to say a few words about Her Excellency, who has very graciously agreed to speak at our Institute today. I met her a few months ago when the Embassy of Spain in Islamabad, for some reason, hosted a seminar on the empowerment of women. And Her Excellency walked there were the women ambassadors also. So Her Excellency walked into the function and I told her that I had been an ambassador. And she said, where? And I said, in Vienna. So she greeted me very warmly. We had not met before. And that developed as a strong link between us. When I was posted to Vienna, the chief of protocol came to see me, which is a custom. And he tried to reassure me that there were other women ambassadors. And he probably thought that here is this woman from a developing country, and she would be out in the cold. And he reassured me. He said there are 3 or 4 women ambassadors. But you know, by the time I left, there were 20 women ambassadors. And that was the largest number of women ambassadors in any country in the world. In the course of 3 years, from 3 or 4, it went up to 20. And the reason was that Vienna is also a United Nations head. It's a very vibrant institution. Her Excellency is going to speak to us on Austrian foreign policy. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this very distinguished institute. I've learned that it was founded in 1936, so long before Pakistan even existed. So it's an honor for me to be here, and I'm also honored that so many of you came on a very nice sunny afternoon. But I have also learned that here people try to escape the sun as much as they can. So always I want to sit outside. Oh no, it's so hot, it's so hot, let's go inside. So this is a very nice, cozy room. And I will speak, first I would like to give you a brief geographical and historical context of Europe. I don't know how much you know about Austria. I'm sure that some people are very knowledgeable, and I have already heard. One member in the first row has written extensively on Austria, but maybe not everybody is so aware of our size, location, and so on. So I would like to remind you that we are a small country, about 8 million people, which makes every Pakistani laugh, because this is just the size of one of the cities. And we are located in the center of Europe. We like to call it the heart of Europe. And we are surrounded by 8 other countries: Germany, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. You see that these are very different countries. Of course, now we have one thing that unites us, almost all of us, the European Union, but during history it was not always the case. So we are in a difficult geopolitical environment. Austria was for centuries ruled by the Habsburg dynasty, and that was a very large empire that extended over large parts of Europe, from the Netherlands down to Spain, and also included some of the then colonies of Spain. So the Emperor Charles V, at the beginning of the 16th century, he apparently said that in my empire the sun never sets. Then history went on. Reforms were necessary in 1867. The Austrian-Hungarian monarchy was established that gave more rights and more independence to Hungary. And also other ethnic groups in this vast empire wanted to have more rights. One group of them was the Serbs. They couldn't wait for some reforms to be made by the emperor, and one extremist killed the heir to the throne, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, in July 1914, and you probably all know that this triggered the First World War. At the end of the war, the monarchy collapsed, and there was a little territory left during the negotiations for peace. The French foreign minister called it ce qui reste. This is Austria. That's what's left over after they had divided all the other territories. So since then we are a republic. It was turbulent times following the war. We were annexed by Nazi Germany in 1938. The Second World War followed. 1945, we were, of course, defeated and then occupied for 10 years by the Allied powers, the United States, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom, until 1955, when a state treaty was signed and Austria became a sovereign state again. In order to achieve this, we promised to remain a neutral country. So we have the status of neutrality until today, but the law of neutrality that was passed in October 1955 is very short and only states that we do not allow military powers on our territory, no military bases, and we will not become a member of a military pact. So this allowed us to conduct what we called an active policy of neutrality, and we always considered this was, just to remind you, the period of the Cold War, and we were just at the border to the communist countries, but we always considered ourselves as ideologically part of the Western community of democracies. Which brings me to this is one of our, of course, the basis of our foreign policy, and the second characteristic is internationalism. So already in 55, shortly after we became sovereign again, and all the foreign powers have left the territory. That's what we celebrate on our National Day, on the 26th of October. We became a member of the United Nations, and we have been a very active member ever since. And you will, the ambassador has already mentioned, and I have this nice brochure here, Vienna has then become also one of the headquarters of the United Nations in 1979 and hosts a number of international organizations. So, the foreign policy of Austria. What is the primary task of our foreign policy? It's to maintain Austria's relations with all countries in the world and to represent our interests in all international and regional organizations of which we are a member. Since 1995, we are a member of the European Union, and we participate in the common foreign and security policy. And we actively do this, and we participate in the development of common position, of actions and strategies, and we formulate statements, démarches and conclusions. This membership has played a pivotal role for us in deepening our relations with many also non-European countries, like Asia, Latin America, or in Africa. You can describe our foreign policy like concentric circles. So the most important and close relationship is, of course, with our neighbor countries. And I think this is true for probably every country. Neighbors are not always friends, but they are there, and you have to deal with them. And Pakistan, I think, knows that best of all. And as I have described before, the countries that are our neighbors, they have been very different. There were Western democracies, there are communist countries. There is another neutral country that is Switzerland. It's a very tiny country. Liechtenstein. It's a very important neighbor, that is Germany. So it's not always easy to keep all these relationships in balance. Then the next circle extends a little bit to the south, to the countries of Southern Europe, the Balkan countries. And Austria, and I will talk a little more about this, supports what we call a European perspective for these countries, which we feel is in the interest of regional stability. So this European perspective means that they should become also eventually members of the European Union. Then we have the next circle that goes to the neighboring states of the enlarged European Union. So we extend into, east of Bulgaria and Romania are our easternmost members, and then we go into Ukraine and Central Asia and also Turkey. We support, this is very important also, building peace, stability and prosperity in the Mediterranean region and in the neighborhood of the Middle East. I think this is an area that is influencing security worldwide. As I have pointed out already, we advocate a strong role of the United Nations and other important international organizations like the OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is also based in Vienna, and the Council of Europe, which is a wider group of countries than the European Union. If we go away from geographical priorities, in substance, we are give a lot of priority to the respect of international law, especially the universality of human rights and the rights of minorities. And also our security policies, of course, is important. As I have said, we cannot become a member of a military pact, but we work together with NATO in a partnership for peace and participate in peace missions, crisis management activities, and rescue operations in disaster areas. Other important areas for us are the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, the ban of landmines and cluster ammunitions. Austria, together with other countries, has taken a number of initiatives. The fight against international terrorism and the dialogue of civilizations. So if you look at other sectors of policies, foreign policy requests more flexibility and rapid reaction to current developments and crises. You cannot plan as you may be able to plan your education system or your health system or other areas of development. You have to be there to react, to give a quick response. And on the other hand, you don't want to only play fire brigades and always only be there when there is a fire to extinguish, but you need your interests and values should be represented on a European and a global level, and it should be a durable and visible form of policy where all stakeholders are included. So, as already mentioned, the European Union is a very important institution for us. We have been a member for 20 years, and This has had a strong impact on our policy and has also offered us new opportunities of influence. Our ministry is coordinating this policy, but of course almost all other ministries are involved. Our office in Brussels to the European Union is the largest we have. All the federal provinces, 9 of them have their representation there, as well as all the foreign ministries and some other important organizations. I have also mentioned that we support the Eastern European countries on their way towards the European Union. This is a region also recalling our history that we have had close links with, and we have experts on these countries, people who speak the languages. So for us, integrating these countries is a benefit, we feel, and it would, if we do not do this, then we would have additional costs and more disadvantages. I have mentioned Vienna as a center, one of the headquarters of the United Nations. So not only the United Nations, there are a number of other important organizations that are based in Vienna, like the Atomic Energy Agency, the Organization of Oil Exporting Countries, and many more. So it has become a center for addressing global security issues, such as nuclear safety or fight against organized crime. It is an important headquarters of international organizations and emerging as a hub for the promotion of peace, security, sustainable development, disarmament, and non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, and the fight against crime, drugs, and terrorism. Vienna, or Austria, considers itself as an international bridge builder and a place for dialogue, which is also an important aspect. We think that intercultural and interreligious dialogue contributes to global trust building and peaceful coexistence, and therefore has always been a central goal